Good morning. This is Clay in the River City, Dubuque. And just want to do my usual drill on things that I think about as a shade tree mechanic and kind of wish I had known before I got started. You know, I think part of the beauty of using a machine shop that does these jobs over and over is, you know, they've seen all the tricks and they know their limits. The limits of the equipment, limits of the vehicle. And, you know, this method of getting at these lower control arms by backing off the engine cradle and bumping up the engine on its mounts is, you know, not for the faint of heart. And, you know, before I release the jack from that pan, you know, let me just say that not only did I lift it its full 20-inch throw, you know, up fairly high up on jack stands, but I added additional blocks and basically, you know, loosened these body bolts, hanger bolts, these long 6-inch jobs that go up into the unibody about as far as I cared to risk. You know, put jack stands underneath, obviously, just in case they let go. Not really bearing a whole lot of weight, but I guess what I really want to communicate is after you back these off and you have to deal with this engine mount with its 3 posts, if you will, in order to get at the back bolt or the center bolts, the 150-pound torque, 22-millimeter bolts that anchor this to the frame. You know, basically, you got to back it off as far as you can and carefully lifting on the oil pan, lift it just as high as necessary to completely clear these bolts. If you don't put it in the center of the drain pan, you're not gonna kink or damage that drain pan. But you gotta get this engine mount, soft mount, if you will, off to be able to get at the right hand bolt. You can see the left hand one on that center grouping. So, you know, take your time. Don't be afraid to put extra torque on that engine to get that last inch that you need to get the bolt out from behind the engine mount. If that thing is sloppy, here's your chance to replace it. The beauty, you know, of having done this on the other side is maybe it's taken me a whole lot less time than it did before. 148 is the torque on the big bolts here, 64 on the engine mount. Easily had on the Toyota Sienna forum. Guys really generous with downloading the PDFs from the factory service manual. And, you know, when you see rubber exposed here and torn, you know, you don't have to be a rocket scientist to know that that back anchor for the lower control arm has failed and needs to be replaced. It's one thing to see the tear and think, oh, I gotta replace a rubber seal. No, that's the whole donut having been torn free and needing replacement. So getting ready to really get after throwing this thing back together. I got a new CV axle to run in there. Was able to get it out without buying a slide hammer adapter tool with that C shape to get around the yoke. I highly recommend buying that for a future job to save you time. I was able to heat it and tap on it. I ruined the bearing, but I ruined the bearing on a piece that was going to get thrown in the trash. So here I go. Clay from the River City, Dubuque. October 17th, 2025. My grandfather, Kenneth Wyatt Greaves' birthday. Good day.